Hi, Bill Greenberg of PhoneScholar.com. Today is Friday, May 28th. Sorry about the late hour today. Just ran around all today and didn't get a chance to do it until late. But you know what? You now have 3 days to view this. I'm not sure if I'm going to be broadcasting on Monday. If I get stories, I will. If not, then I'll see you Tuesday. But here we go. I know we've been talking about this a ton, and I hope this isn't overkill for some of you, but I got a really, really great article about the Verizon iPhone and why it looks like there's no way it's ever going to be coming soon. And it's kind of funny also, so please read it. It's called Wither Verizon, and there's some new stuff on here. One of the things that hasn't been really pointed out is the fact that the CDMA network, AT&T and iPhone have been, or especially AT&T, have really been harping on the fact that they can talk and search the web at the same time, and the CDMA network does not have that available. Now, Apple, it's very unlikely that Apple would take a step back to a phone that can't do that, but there is hope that the new LTE 4G network that Verizon will be rolling out by the end of the year may solve that issue. So that's one thing. Verizon has a huge history of making partners remove or alter the smartphone features and add its own. This is kind of what I was talking about yesterday. This is a little more specific to how it works. Now here's the thing that basically Apple says is that the iPhone works the same everywhere it goes or not at all. So there's another reason why the likelihood of them getting together, and this is probably the likelihood of, again, I told you, Apple went to Verizon first, why it never happened. Think about this at the Apple store itself. When you have the CDMA for GSM, and let's say the lines are out the door as normal, and somebody comes in and says, oh, I need one for AT&T, and in the middle of their activation, they say, you know what, I'm sorry, I changed my mind, go get me the Verizon one. Now the whole application has to stop, they have to go, and this may be a minor problem, but you know as well as I do, there's people out there that are going to be like this, and Apple boasts the best customer service in retail for cell phones, so that could really, really crunch into that. And lastly, if you take a look at all the Verizon phones, there's a Verizon logo on every single phone. In fact, sometimes it's more prominent than the actual manufacturer's phone. Prime example, the Storm 2 or the Storm, Verizon really kind of invented that, and BlackBerry made it for them. But if you look at the Droid, it's the same way. Well, guess what? Apple is the only Intel partner that doesn't have an Intel logo on it. They like their logos. So the fight over where a logo is going to go, that's again going to set this back. So for those of you hoping, honestly, I don't see it happening soon, and neither most of the experts do. But again, you never know. These things could pop up at any time. Okay, my very, very first broadcast, I talked about the AT&T for Verizon commercials that were on, talking about how the coverage maps and this and that, and now AT&T is talking about how they have these commercials with the big orange things rolling out where they're covering 97% of America, and that's great. But according to Dan Meyer, who wrote an article for RCR Wireless News, and he's absolutely correct. You know what? I don't care how much you cover. Tell me, what the depth of the coverage. Does it work on my house? Does it work on my car? Does it work on my work? Does it work where I take it? So it's great that they cover 97% of America, but if it doesn't, it's covered that much, and their network covers that much, but that doesn't mean it works everywhere. And you also have to think about the 3% it doesn't cover. That's 10 million people. That's the size of New York City, so the population of New York City. So it's still a pretty big chunk. T-Mobile just announced that their HSPA Plus is going to be covering 30 million customers. Well, that sounds like, again, like an impressive number. When we talk about 30 million out of 300 million people, is it really that much? And then Verizon Wireless, actually, they talk about their maps, and their maps are very good, and they do have a lot, but there's also a lot of white spots on there, and once again, what's going on in those white spots, why is there no coverage, stuff like that. So basically, the bottom line is, let me know when you can cover everyone, everywhere, and then I'll watch your commercials, I guess. Little blurb about Apple. Are they great at marketing, or are they subtle brainwashing? And again, this is from Dan Meyer at RCR Wireless News, and he talks about how people, the really, really iPhone fanatics, who think that everything on iPhone is exclusive to iPhone, only works on iPhone. And he had one guy that he talked to about the navigation services that were iPhone, and he showed this guy that the navigation services on a non-iPhone were as good or better than the ones that he was using, and he said the guy looked like I just kicked his dog in the stomach. So again, it's kind of funny, so just go ahead and read it. And then lastly, it's kind of a long article, but I thought this was a tremendously important project that's going on. It's called One Laptop Per Child. It's been going on basically since 2005. And what they're going to do now, they've been selling a computer called the XO, which was a Microsoft product, or excuse me, not selling, but giving away. And the whole concept of One Laptop Per Child, or OLPC, is to hand out laptops to children and to schools in places that really just can't get them, places like Afghanistan, Uruguay, stuff like that. Their whole concept was to have 30 million of them going. They've since 2005, since they started this, they do have about 2 million units out there. So they're doing a really tremendous job. The problem that they're having, though, is they tried to get the price point at $100 each, and they haven't been able to get it much under $200. And of course, when you talk about a nonprofit organization, they need donations and to make this going. So the lower the cost they can get. So now they're talking about going to a tablet version, an Android tablet made by Marvel Technologies. And a couple of advantages to the tablet is it's much more weather resistant or weather friendly to the many different areas in the world. Part of the problem they had with like areas like Afghanistan, where there's a lot of desert, they were getting sand under the keyboard, stuff like that. And with the tablet being a touchscreen and fully enclosed, that's going to be easier. Now, while they partnered with Microsoft to begin with, unfortunately, Microsoft, to make a tablet for Microsoft, it's just takes up too much energy in areas, again, that don't have a lot of electricity. So the Android functioning on a tablet, they said they do want to get Linux-based eventually, but right now they're going to go with Android. So again, a really great project. Please read the article so you can kind of get on board on what they're doing. Under categories, I had a bunch of articles today that I thought were important. So real quick, under the categories, under the Verizon, Verizon has their 4G plan for their LTE when it rolls out. Their pricing will not be a monthly pricing like it is now, like $29.99 for 250 megabytes and then $59.99 for unlimited. It's going to be tiered, so they'll have a bunch of them in between. And what's going to happen is you're going to pay per month per use. You're going to pick one, and hopefully they're going to allow you to change them as your needs change. Say you're going away for a week and you know you're going to be using a whole bunch of minutes or a whole bunch of data, then you can change it for that. So we'll see what happens when they start rolling that out, but just a quick preview. Facebook is now for Android. I put a link on there to download it, so check that out. It's under the Android caption, under the Android category. Under Verizon and Google category, Motorola is betting big on Google and Verizon. Now, personally, again, from a Verizon standpoint, Motorola did not have the greatest track record. They'd have one great phone and one lousy phone, but the Droid has been excellent for them, and they're banking on more Droid phones with both Google and Verizon to bring them back. A company called Fring picks up video calling on Androids. So you can have video chat on an Android. The drawback is that I wanted to make this a main thing, and it's under the Android category, but because you have to have a front-facing video phone for this to work, and there's only a couple of Android phones that have front-facing cameras, I think it should wait until there's more. And then lastly, Mozilla sidesteps iPhone ban on rival browsers. They're putting out a watered-down version of Firefox. It's not a full-fledged browser, but it's under iPhone in the categories. Check that out. As with everything, check out www.phonescholar.com. Check out the quotes of the day. Check out the quotes and the observations. Everybody have a great Memorial Day weekend. Thank you, all of you who are out there fighting to make sure that I can put on a video like this for freedom. Everybody that has fought and is still fighting, and stay safe.